Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the Great Lakes Prepping live stream. This is the first time I've done one of these in quite some time, about 2 years, and I'm only mostly sure that it's working. Figures that I tested this thing every which way I could figure out how, and when I clicked go live right at 6 o'clock, it gave me some great big error that I had to try to figure out. So hopefully it's working, and hopefully you can hear me all right, and everything looks and sounds okay. So I wanted to do my first live stream after quite some time with something a little bit fun. So I'm calling it the hate mail edition, and that's I guess a little misleading because it's not like I'm receiving letters or even emails that are specific hate mail. It's more uh, comments under specific videos or in the community tab, things like that. And most of these aren't even specific, quoted comments. It's more ones that I've remembered over the years or that I've seen, multiples that are kind of similar in nature. And I kind of wish that I'd recorded or written down all of them since years ago when I started this thing, but there's just no way to really go back in time and find them all. So I just kind of sketched out and jotted down the ones that I could remember, and a couple of them are recent enough that they're pretty fresh in my memory. So, uh, you know, I guess I'll just start with one of the recent ones, and that was one that I guess I've heard a little bit before, and that's that apparently I have a strange accent. I sure don't think I do. I think I have a very Midwestern uh, way of speaking that doesn't have any particular accent, but if you're from a different part of the country, I guess it sure could sound like an accent. And the funny example that I saw somebody mention recently was they said that I pronounced the word bottom as Bardem, Bardem. And I thought that was funny. And I had to go back and watch the video that he was commenting on to see where I even said that. And to me, it just sounds like I'm saying the word bottom. But that being said, I guess, the Midwestern way of saying a lot of words with T's in them are pronounced pretty soft. Uh, it's not so much an enunciated bottom, it's more bottom. And I guess that somehow sounded like Bardom. Um, the one that's maybe most noticeable, the what I'll call the Midwest accent, is words like button or rotten. The T's aren't really even pronounced. It's more of a, button would be Buh apostrophe N, button. Uh, and I guess that's a unique thing to certain parts of the country, maybe Midwest specific. Um, and let me know in these in the chat thing here if everything's coming through all right. If you can hear me okay, if the stream seems smooth. Another one that I've gotten quite a bit for quite some time is when I'm making videos that are food related and I do a little intro in the kitchen. Uh, People say, "What are you looking at? You're not looking at the camera. You should look at the camera," and that's true. I should ideally, but there's a couple reasons that I'm not always, or it might look like I'm not always. One, sometimes I have some, a piece of paper hanging up next to the camera with some notes on it that I'm referencing. I'm not that good at memorizing scripts or anything like that, so most of the time I'm just sort of uh, ad libbing or improving, or I'm reading off a script or referencing notes pretty heavily. And which of those things that I do maybe depends on my mood or if I'm feeling especially improvisational that day. The other factor that goes into it is that I don't know if it's extremely obvious on camera, but I'm moderately to significantly cross eyed. Uh, was born with an eye abnormality that has basically the muscles in the two eyes aren't really in sync, and so they kind of each do their own thing. Side effect of that is that I don't have depth perception most of the time. Only my left eye even works. If I'm kind of looking off to the right, or if I close my left eye, the right one sort of kicks in. But I think that manifests in appearing cross-eyed. So that's nothing new. My whole life, you get people, you're talking to them, and they're not 100% sure if you're looking at them or the guy next to them. Doesn't really affect me. Doesn't bother me so much anymore. And it's kind of my own little inside joke when I respond to somebody in the comments who says, "Why aren't you looking at the camera? That looks ridiculous." And I say, "Well, I am. I'm just cross-eyed, so." Now, the next one is one that made me laugh a lot at the time, and this is from years ago. Um, PDX Tundra. I sound like Richard Dreyfuss. I guess it could be worse. Maybe not a lot worse, but maybe worse. That's funny. I never heard that one before. That's pretty good. Makes me want to do quotes from Jaws or What About Bob now. Anyway, if you watch this channel for a few years, you probably remember seeing my dog that I had, and she was in pretty much all of my videos in one way or another, up until she passed away, of course. And a comment I got that always stuck with me. I don't even remember what the video was. I was canning something or cooking something, and this young woman was left a very disgusted comment, expressing her distaste for the fact that I had a dog in the kitchen while I was cooking food. And she said that she would never invite me to her potluck because I had that disgusting beast in the kitchen. And it was so specific and weird. And the first thing that came to her mind was, "I would never invite you to my potluck." Not a potluck, specifically her potluck. I don't remember exactly what I responded. I try to be pretty nice in the comments despite what my initial urge is to write back, but it's like, I don't remember ever agreeing to go to your potluck, your sad, dogless potluck. So that one always cracked me up. Um, just, just having these exclusive, black tie potluck events. The next one isn't really an insult. It's more of just kind of a point of interest. And probably like almost 20 years ago, one of my coworkers had watched a movie over the weekend, and she came back and said, "I saw this movie with this actor, and I realized he looks exactly like you." And um, never really heard that again until pretty recently. I've had a handful of different comments make reference to me looking just like that very same guy. It's an actor named Paul Dano, and I don't know. I think I can bring a picture of him up here. He's the guy from Little Miss Sunshine, and he played the young preacher in There Will Be Blood. And I think more recently he was the Riddler in one of the Batman movies. Although I can't think if I've actually seen that. And yeah, I guess there's some resemblance. I think when I was a teenager, I looked a lot more like the guy than I do now. But what are you gonna do? So apparently, to some people, I look like the actor Paul Dano. Maybe I can go as him for Halloween or something if I ever did anything for Halloween. Uh, Another one that I've heard a couple of times, but only in the last year, maybe even 6 months. I have a bunch of Carhartt T-shirts, and I've had Carhartt T-shirts for years, and I've worn them for years. But all of a sudden, I got a couple of different comments saying that if I'm gonna wear Carhartt shirts in my channels, I need to somehow cover up the logo. There's a logo on the pocket. I need to put a piece of tape over the logo, or just don't wear a Carhartt shirt on video. and there was never any explanation for that. And uh, you know, I kind of Googled a little bit, like what's going on with Carhartt, and I couldn't really find anything. My best guess is that I don't know, maybe in the wake of the whole Bud Light fiasco, Carhartt did or didn't say something that was construed as something or not something, and it annoyed certain people. Well, I don't know anything about that, and uh, while I stay informed on politics, it is about the least interesting thing that I could possibly imagine. So, being informed is important, but talking about it and basing, I don't know, what I consider maybe a DIY slash entertainment YouTube channel, I couldn't even possibly have any interest in delving into the specifics of what's the matter with wearing a Carhartt shirt that I've been wearing for my entire life. So that was a weird one. The next one is actually kind of kind of valid. I can't even really object or complain about it because it's pretty true, and that's sometimes people say that the audio in your videos sounds like you're in a tin can, and there's times where I have some microphone issues, and I've already recorded the whole thing, and there's just really no way to go back, so I edit it, tweak the sound the best I can, but it still ends up sounding a little echoey. And there's no way around the fact that my kitchen is just echoey. It's hard surfaces everywhere you look. Porcelain tile floors, wooden cabinets, hard countertops, steel appliances. I don't really have knickknacks or decor or anything in there that would dampen the sound. See, it's kind of echoey, but I'm always working on improving that and, kind of upping my microphone game and getting better at, recording the sound and trying to control the environment that where there might be wayward noises that affect it. And if you do have a lot of noise in your audio, you can use software to do noise cancellation. But the more noise you cancel, the more tinny it makes your audio sound and so forth. So that's a critique that I pay a lot of attention to because they say you can get away with having pretty questionable video quality, but if your audio quality is bad, you're gonna have a hard time getting people to want to sit there and listen to it. So I'm always trying to improve on that, and that's actually part of the thing that prompted me to take the first couple steps that ended up in this whole thing that you see behind me. I started off wanting to have the means to do better voiceovers because some of my videos, I uh, I do voiceovers for whatever I'm saying rather than just doing it live or improv or whatever. And so I got this microphone and a little audio mixer, and then I thought, well, I need a place to set it up, and I've got this room that's already kind of got soundproofing materials all in it because I use it for some of my music production. And then I thought, well, what if I just had a little something in the background? I could probably use this room to, be a video background. And I thought this would be perfect for live streaming, which is kind of what got my gears turning on doing another live stream and probably more in the future still. I never really had a great place to do them uh, in this house or anywhere else. So now I think I've got a pretty decent setup here. Um, and I apologize for not paying much attention to the chat thing as you guys are talking. I get distracted pretty easily, and so I've got what I'm talking about in front of me and the chat on the screen to the side of me here, and I don't want it to look like I'm just kind of staring off into space over here too much. But like I said, once I get a little maybe more experienced with the live streaming, it'll be more smooth. It'll be a little more uh, fluid here. See, you guys agreed with me on the potluck, though. Now, what kind of lame potluck is that lady throwing? Well, um, another thing that some people more make fun of me about, it's not so much a criticism. Like I said, the hate mail was sort of just a tongue in cheek title for this video. Most of this isn't, I don't think, rooted in hate. It's more just teasing, and some of it's pretty funny. But it's no secret that I have a severe, lifelong disdain for ketchup. I think I might have eaten it as a small child when I didn't know anything, and I just ate whatever parents put in my face. But as soon as my brain developed and I realized how disgusting it was, uh, never again have I intentionally consumed the devil's nectar in any format. And that made things tricky as a kid because people give you food and you're just expected to eat it. And if you say, "This is disgusting, I can't eat this," then you're just an ungrateful little bastard that isn't going to eat the thing that somebody went out of their way to make or buy. But as an adult who funds all of my own eating, I can be absolutely picky on that one. Oh, thanks XP. I'm glad this is sounding better audio wise. I really kind of went above and beyond to make sure, if nowhere else, the audio in this room sounds super good. Uh, and I'm glad it's coming through sounding okay. So yeah, I don't like ketchup, but where I get teased is that I love barbecue sauce and tomato sauce and basically all manner of tomato and tomato condiments, basically everything but ketchup and cocktail sauce because cocktail sauce is basically just you know ketchup's idiot cousin. It's ketchup with horseradish in it, and there's no reason to eat that. There's just that's just that's just unnecessary. But barbecue sauce, delicious. I do a lot of recipe videos, um, but that really only a fraction of the things I cook end up becoming a video. It's just if it looks interesting or a little unusual, or maybe it already hasn't been done to death on YouTube, I'll make a video about it. Like a year or two ago, I made a recipe video for something that's a very regional thing called a moyo sauce. It's sort of a Sicilian, some people call it Sicilian salsa. It's this tomato based, sort of chunky, I guess you could call it a condiment for, it's really good on steaks or like breaded, fried, like chicken cutlets, things like that. It's got some tomato and garlic and herbs and stuff in there. Um, but it's pretty much only found in two places, like certain parts of Sicily and certain parts of Michigan, particularly southeast Michigan, which is where I'm from. And there's a big Italian population from way back when in southeast Michigan. So the Italian food is out of this world, and so many sort of recipes that came from the old country and resurfaced here. And this amoyo sauce is one of them. And there's everyone had their different way to make it, just like every Italian family has their own recipe for sauce. Uh, Anyone that made this stuff had their own recipe for it. And man, some of the people that commented were so mad that I absolutely blasphemed their version of what that sauce is supposed to be. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I got this recipe from basically an Italian grandmother who my family knew, and like I'm gonna have to believe her over anyone else. I don't have any better sources on it, and it's what I grew up expecting that sauce to taste like. And then more recently, someone was very upset at my Spätzle video, which is, if you're not familiar with that, it's a German sort of side dish. It's like looks kind of like pasta, but they're these little teeny dumplings, and you can just toss them with butter or put sauce on them or do whatever you want. But um, a lot of the recipes out there, including the one I've always made, calls for nutmeg. But I don't know if he was German or of German descent, but in America, I don't really know. But he was very upset about us ridiculous Americans trying to put nutmeg in everything, including Spatzel. And it was funny that a German from a different part of Germany chimed in and said, actually, regionally, nutmeg would always go in that, where I'm from. So people get very worked up if you tell them how to make a thing that's any different than the way they've always made it. And in my mind, if you've always made it and you like the way you made it, why are you watching some idiot on YouTube that's got, you know, no real credibility telling you how to do something that you're already an expert in? That's, I don't know, it's more their fault than mine at that point. Make it or don't, but, for what it's worth, that little dash of nutmeg and spatzel just really gives something to it. So I do recommend that. Oh, Cheryl, I'm glad you liked the barbecue sauce. It's a little different. It's a little bold. Uh, I don't call that my everyday, dip French fries in a barbecue sauce. I like that for grilling, like country style ribs or a nice piece of chicken or something. Oh yeah, no, PDX ketchup as an ingredient is definitely a no go. And I know what you're thinking. If I don't have any idea that it's in there, could I be upset about it? Well, I guess the answer would be no. And my mom relied on that for a long time until I, hit some age where I started getting very interested in cooking. And my mom's a great cook, and uh, a big portion of what I know is from her directly. But when I started watching her cook, the jig was up, and I saw her put ketchup and mustard in something. It was probably meatloaf, as a matter of fact. I was horrified, and she's like, "Oh man, I can never make this again." And my brother, exact same way. No ketchup, no mustard. I'll eat mustard in certain formats, but absolutely no ketchup for either of us. So yeah, yeah, it was all over. And I can't order meat. I like meatloaf, but I can't order it anywhere ever because if they don't mix it into it, they slather the top with it. That is just vile. So I make a nice meatloaf, but I use it's actually more like a beef gravy that adds the moisture, not a tomato product at all. One of the things that I've gotten a few times on the topic of critical comments is something that, you know, I don't disagree with, but I don't know how to avoid. And that's if I'm talking about any kind of product, a kitchen appliance or a thing, just anything. Every one of my videos, I'm using stuff. And a couple few times I'll get people that say everything that you're using is made in China. Just cheap Chinese crap. And, you got to stop buying any of that, stop using any of it. And I'm on board. If I could get every one of the things that I want to own from a U.S. made company, uh, I would be inclined to do that. But as everybody knows, good U.S. made stuff also costs a lot. I was looking at a company, and I can't think of the name of them now, but somebody in a video comment mentioned this company that makes cutlery, just a good American steel cutlery. And I really liked some of their stuff. It looked very nice. And I was gonna buy a new set of like knives and forks and spoons, and I saw how much it cost for like a set of, you know, four knives, four forks, four spoons, and it was like hundreds of dollars. And I'm like, I'd rather eat with my hands. I just can't possibly. I mean, if money was limitless and I was just filthy rich, then yeah, I'd. If an American company didn't make a thing, I could just start the company and start making it, I guess. But this is the real world, and the way that the sort of global supply chain and everything took shape well before I was born, and probably well before a lot of you were born, is that for whatever reason, uh, the country stopped producing a lot of stuff, and these other countries started producing it. And uh, I don't know how to personally get out of that cycle. Look around your house. Half the stuff in your house, your entire house, was almost certainly made in China. Another 35% was probably made in Indonesia. Your clothes, your bedding, your towels. And Vietnam, big country for that kind of thing. And Mexico has a ton of manufacturing. If you really had to hunt out everything in your house that was made entirely in America, I'd be surprised if it was 5%. And I don't love that. I'd way rather that we have the manufacturing sort of might that we used to. But that's not the world I was born into, or maybe it started shifting shortly after I was born. I'm not sure. But beyond just not having the stuff that I want or need, how do you avoid getting stuff that was in China at some point? I could talk at some length about this. Rather, I'd love to hear someone that knows a lot more about economics and supply chain and things like that. Someone who knows more than I discuss this more. But I sure don't know how to avoid owning things that have been in China or any other country. So I don't know. That one's just sort of a food for thought, I guess. Another kind of silly one was this one wasn't that long ago. Somebody really let me have it for they said you're in this video you're using electric appliances, you've got a gas stove. How can you call yourself a prepper and using a gas stove and electric anything since there'll be no electricity or gas after SHTF? And I don't remember if I even replied, but uh, that's a silly criticism because well, two reasons. First of all, after SHTF, there will certainly be electricity, and for a while there will still be gas. Everyone, solar, wind, that's what we're all about, making sure we can generate electricity if we have to. And uh, and the other thing is, I used to spend a lot of time thinking about SHTF. What happens after the fall? What happens when society crumbles? And I think it might be a byproduct of getting older, or maybe just having spent so many years thinking about preparedness in general. But I'm so much less interested in thinking about the fall than I used to be. More so than what happens when something medium sized happens where the power for the entire county gets taken out by a storm or sabotaged, which we've unfortunately been seeing here and there happening, and they can't get the giant $1 million transformer they need for a month. And so we're essentially in the dark ages, but only for a month. That's so much more realistic uh, in my lifetime anyway than than the big one, than the nuclear bomb, which I don't know. I'll probably last a few more weeks than the average person, but I'm still gonna become a radioactive mutant corpse shortly thereafter. Like, what are the things that do happen and have happened, and how screwed were the people that didn't have any level of preparedness versus those that were? That's my motivation recently in the last maybe few years. The whole 2020 business was a pretty good case study in this. We really got to see where the masses' minds went. Toilet paper, namely. It really went bonkers over the toilet paper. But we saw the kinds of things that ran out first and the kinds of services that were the most impacted. And anytime there's going to be a big disruption of things, the prepared people are going to have a lot easier of a time with it. And if there's one good thing that came out of that entire freak show, it's how many more people are mindful or preparedness minded than used to be. This has nothing to do with anyone's personal thoughts or opinions about COVID-19 or any of that. It's more like it's undeniable that we witnessed a breakdown in supply chain and services and things like that. That should be the takeaway. And whether or not you think it should happen, or if you think that the reason for it has any basis in reality, something like that's going to happen again, almost certainly in our lifetime. And that's the kind of thing I want to be prepared for. When the nuclear missiles fall, I'm going to have some really nice bourbon and watch it from my deck, I guess. Because what am I going to do? I got just a couple more. I can get to talking all day once I start, but a really amusing one from a few weeks ago. I made a video about vacuum sealing pork chops and steaks. Not a very thrilling video, pretty dry. Uh, but somebody commented that they were very mad about how boring and sort of unfascinating the video was, and said they'd watched a bunch of it and just were in disbelief at how boring this was. And there was nothing misleading about the title or the thumbnail, and that's kind of what they were implying, is that they were, bait and switched. And I was like, this video was titled something like "How to Vacuum Seal Pork Chops and Steaks," and the thumbnail picture was a picture of vacuum sealed pork chops and steaks. And this guy was so devastated at being apparently misled by my absolutely accurate title and thumbnail. He had to take action. He had to put, quote, pen to paper and make sure the world knew that I delivered exactly what the thumbnail and video title said I would. He was very upset by that. So earlier I was talking about my eyes and how I don't see out of both eyes at the same time. Well, one of the other effects of that issue is that the eyes, when they do work, are very bad at reading anything any kind of distance away. And in an effort to not have this screen this close to my face and obstructing this whole thing, it's kind of a challenge actually to read these chats. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get another screen with just the chat feed on it that's in huge font. And I do have some glasses, but I don't like wearing them on the camera because of the glare on the lenses and everything. Interestingly enough, it only took the U.S. government about 50 years to do so, but about 10 years ago they officially admitted or acknowledged a whole host of medical conditions that came from exposure to Agent Orange in the Vietnam War. And two reasons that's interesting. One, my dad was in the Vietnam War, and he was inadvertently exposed to Agent Orange. They would drop this Agent Orange and hope that it goes here, but then the wind does what the wind does, and now these guys, 20, 30 miles away are getting misted by thousands of gallons of Agent Orange. So he got hit kind of directly by it. And the other thing about that is, or one of the conditions that they acknowledged that they had evidence that could cause is actually not in the veteran themselves, but in their offspring. There's a whole bunch of them that their offspring basically could have these mutations. And one of them is this Esotropia with strabismus, which is the exact name of the thing I got going on with my eyes. So there was a way you could submit a claim to try to get some kind of payout for that, and we discussed the possibility of doing that. But when I started reading the paperwork, it wanted basically your lifetime of examples and details of exactly how that condition made your life suffer. Specific examples of your suffering and opportunities that you missed out on, and earnings potential and hardship and pain. And well, it's a tricky thing because I was born without depth perception, so I don't really know what depth looks like. I can see simulated depth in video games and things like that. I get it, but the actual ability to perceive depth, don't even know what that looks like. I can gauge depth kinda by using perspective and parallax. When I'm in the woods deer hunting, I kind of move back and forth like this so I can see the trees all move, and depending on how fast the tree closer to you crosses the tree further away from you, you can get a gauge of how far away they must be. I don't know. I guess that's ridiculous, but I don't know any different. Hardships in my life. It's harder. It's hard to drive at night. It's hard to drive if there's rain, making the lights glare every which way. But how do I articulate a million examples that would justify them giving me a check? I couldn't. It's like somebody that's born 100% blind. They know it sucks because people tell them, "Oh man, I totally can see and it's awesome." But he doesn't really have any ability to tell you how much it sucks. So it's like that, but way less severe because I'm not 100% blind. Oh, thanks, Annette. I appreciate that. Well, the last thing on my list that I'll talk about is kind of a funny one. It's a silly one, and I've got some visual aids. And it's a critique I've heard my whole life, long before I ever had a YouTube channel, and that's how come you never smile? You're never smiling. You don't even look happy. I don't get that a lot on my videos because they're usually, not super fun, silly, happy videos. They're more informational or DIY or whatever. But I have gotten that comment sometimes, and I don't know what to tell you. I've got what I guess I would call resting grump face. My default face apparently looks kind of grumpy. I laugh all the time. If something's funny, I laugh, smile, whatever. But the default state, pretty dry. Uh, my family jokes and says the day you win the $100 million lottery, your face is gonna look the same as the day you had to wake up and go to work or whatever, or go to the dentist. And maybe that's true. So this has been my whole life. Growing up, everyone's always all right, pose for the picture, say cheese, smile, and I don't know, it's so hard to force a smile, and it doesn't look right, and I got to the point where I was annoyed by being asked, so then I definitely wasn't gonna. And I was I had this silly idea to get a bunch of pictures of me over the decades and then paste the same grumpy face on every one of them. But as I started going through this just ancient archive of family pictures and finding old photos of myself, I was reminded that I didn't have to do any such photoshopping because that's been my same face, you know, for over 40 years since before I was born. Basically, I'm sure I was born with that face already on me. So, just for fun, just to kind of wrap this thing up, I've got a slideshow, just a little visual aid. I don't know how to gauge the age of a baby, so maybe someone can help me out with that. I haven't really been around too many babies since I was one, but I'm guessing I don't know, less than a year old here. Just already the contempt in my eyes for whoever's pointing that camera at me. It was probably my dad because my mom's kind of on the side here, cut off. Um, that awful 1970s yellow high chair, just angry, angry at the world. And then what we got? I don't know if this is older or younger, around the same age. I'm on Grandpa's lap, one of my favorite people in the world when he was still with us. And there's just I don't know, just nothing behind those eyes. I'm just angry, angry about nothing. Except I'm not. That's just the way I looked. This one, according to what was written on the back of the old photo that this came from, I think this was actually my birthday. I don't know which one. Second birthday, maybe someone could tell me. A lot of pictures, a lot of cameras. My dad was a photographer at the time. There was always a camera out, and I always hated it. beautiful summer day. I'm out there in the sun on our, you know, jagged metal lawn chair that everybody had back in those days, enjoying the weather, just just looking mad as can be. A couple years later, it's Christmas morning. You can't tell from the way this picture's cropped, but that stack of presents is as tall as me. Look at all those gifts. I can't even tell what half of those are, but I bet they're awesome. What's that? A drum set? They got me a drum set, and I'm just look miserable. But that was just default face. Oh, we're gonna jump forward in some years. This is I think this was high school because that's my high school girlfriend. She really wanted to go to a portrait place and get a nice portrait taken. And I said, "You know this is lost on me. You know you're going to be disappointed in this." And she goes, "I don't care. You can wear your dumb hat. You can wear a t-shirt. I'm not even going to try to get you to smile. I just want a nice picture of me and for you to be somewhere in it." So I agreed, and this is the picture. This is the picture she paid money to have a professional take. That's not a good picture. That was a waste of money. That was, I mean, it's all my fault. I mean, I caused this, but I don't know. What's that old thing about helping a snake across the river and it bites you, and they say, "Well, you knew what I was when you picked me up." She knew I was a pain in the ass when she met me. So I don't know. Of course, there's a reason why that's a former girlfriend, I guess. A couple more years later, I think I'm about 20 in this picture. Christmas at mom's house with the brothers. Hey, look at that. A Carhartt shirt. See, I wasn't making that up. This is over 20 years ago. I guess I should have put a great big piece of scotch tape over the screen or something, or electrical tape rather. Hillbilly, I like that idea. Sad dogless potluck. That would make a great shirt, or the name of a like a progressive rock band or something. All right, a couple more years. If I remember correctly, this was after I bought my first house. I believe I was 23, and uh, I don't remember who, might have been my mom or my girlfriend at the time, wanted to take a picture to commemorate it. This is the day I bought my first house. Just, just looks looks could kill. You'd think I was absolutely angry. This is I think this right here is about 50, maybe about 12, 13, 14 years ago. It was one of the last shows that my old band ever played. And I loved performing in that band. I had a great time of my life. And there was a professional photographer taking pictures of the bands as they were playing, and I didn't even know that they were down there. I didn't even know they were down there, but I could sense it in the force that that there was a camera taking a picture of me someone somewhere nearby, or maybe I was just concentrating on what I was doing. I like to think that I was angry about the camera. I don't know. It's kind of ironic that I ended up starting a YouTube channel when that's my face when a camera's pointing at me. Hmm. If that doesn't trigger some self-reflection, I don't know what does. And then this is just, I think, a couple years ago, deer hunting. Actually, I think I can remember which year this was. It was a really warm November, and I'm not wearing a jacket. One of my favorite things to do is be out in the woods during deer season. And I'm pretty sure I took this picture. I think this is a selfie. And that's just the face. So that's the whole thing. Just a kind of a ridiculous walk down memory lane. And anyone who might say, "Why don't you ever smile? Why don't you smile?" I said, I'm smiling inside. I'm full of joy and happiness, I think. I don't really feel very negative almost ever. I say negative things. I joke negative things, but I don't think I really feel negative. But I've got a resting grump face. I don't know what to say about it. Oh, hillbilly, yeah, the northern, the like the UP accent is definitely noticeable. Yeah, but Southern Michigan, I don't know. I never thought we had an accent until um, I guess until people pointed it out. You know, you think Californians have like a surfer dude accent, and they do. Every one of them does. Even if it's subtle, it's in there. And you know, New England, New York, everyone's got their own little sprinkling of it. The South has different accents, you know, throughout the whole thing. Um, but the good old Midwest, I don't know. I guess we do. I guess I can't hear it because I'm in it. So, thanks, Jen. I'm glad that you guys like the videos. I'll keep it up as long as I'm able to. But yeah, I guess that's about it. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of a point to this video. Like I was saying earlier, just trying to kind of get back into the swing of doing live streams and get a sense of if anyone likes them or wants to even see it. Maybe I'll do more, but I wanted to start it off with something just kind of informal and fun and uh, you know, everybody loves hate mail episodes of just about anything, and this is the closest I could get to that. So it seemed like a good idea. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I it's hard for me to get started just talking to a camera, like just kind of discussing a thing that isn't quite structured or outlined or even scripted. If I'm talking to another person to like riff off of, I could go all day. But this sort of thing, it's a little outside of my wheelhouse. And just, you know, if it wasn't for the chat and, you know, interactions, it just kind of feels like you're talking to yourself. But um, yeah, if people are interested in this, you know, I got a list ideas of things to kind of maybe do some live streams about. I feel like there should be about something. I've watched live streams where it's just sort of, you know, hanging out, chatting, um, not really any kind of point to it. And I think that can be cool. I've sat around and participated in some of those, but I don't know how to host that, how to make that. You know, you guys are, you know, using your valuable time to watch my channel here and the stream, and if I don't have something prepared to give you, I kind of feel like I'm ripping you off or something. Oh, oh, thanks, chef. You know, I was wondering if I'd get any new visitors from that video. I did um, a collaboration with a YouTube channel called Two Guys in a Cooler, and every October they do uh, a new sausage video every single day of the month, and it's called the Celebrate Sausage video series or something like that. And they asked me if I would be interested in making a video, a sausage making video, to be featured on that channel. So my video uh, went up, went live a week or so ago, and I made I gave them a video of one of my original recipes. It's a Mexican carnitas sausage. If that sounds interesting to you, go check out that channel. And actually, in the community tab on my channel, I put a link to it if you wanted to check it out. Um, oh, great. Well, thanks for watching, everyone, and hopefully it was entertaining or enjoyable in some way. And I'm probably gonna make some more of these. I don't know about a specific schedule or cadence to it yet or anything like that, but maybe kind of as I feel like it to start, and if I get into a groove, I'll make more of them. And other than that, every Sunday, a new regular video goes up, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you guys next time.